Good morning, everyone. Today I will start with my second lecture where I was talking about in my previous lecture, as I had discussed about human resource planning, the initial aspect of human resource planning, that was the benefit, the needs, a few definitions, why human resource planning is important, and how human resource planning becomes an important part or how it contributes to the organization. In today's lecture, I would be discussing about the core objectives of the human resource planning and the process of human resource planning. Now, if you look into the core objectives of human resource planning, the goal of every organization or the goal of human resource planning, it is to move from reactive to proactive by optimizing current performance and identifying the gaps early. Once the organization tries to reduce the firefighting approach to recruitment and controlling labor related overhead effectively. So the objectives of human resource planning can be mainly talks about ensuring optimum utilization of human resources currently employed, so that it can be currently employed to enhance or to boost the overall productivity levels. It also helps to assess or forecast future requirements and identify any gaps. So anticipating future talents, shortages, or surpluses to manage any kind of personal changes proactively. Then it also cope up with the changing scenario. It tries to risk mitigation, reducing the high cost associated with any kind of sudden turnover and emergency recruitment cycles. It helps in attaching with business plans of organization. As I said, it anticipate any kind of redundancies. It also looks into that what kind of training skills is required from time to time, so that the employees remain motivated and they can be retained in the organization. It provides strong basis for human resource development, and of course, it assists in productivity bargaining. The objectives of human resource planning, may be summarized a few more. Like, first of all, is forecasting the human resource requirements. It is essential to determine the future needs of human resources in an organization, and the absence of this kind of a plan, it becomes very difficult to provide the right kind of people at the right time. Then secondly, it talks about the effective management of change. Now, proper planning is required to cope with changes in the different aspects which affect the organization. And these changes needs continuation of allocation, reallocation, and effective utilization of human resources in any organization or department. Then realizing the organizational goals in order to meet the expansion and other organizational activities, the organizational HR planning becomes essential. Then promoting employee human resource planning gives the feedback in the form of employees data, which can be used in the decision making, in promotional opportunities which has to be made available for the organization. And then effective utilization of human resources. Here, the database will provide the useful information in identifying surplus and deficiencies in human resources. The major objective or the most important part of human resource planning, apart from these objectives, is that is try to maintain and improve the organizational capacity to reach its goals by developing appropriate strategies that will result in the maximum contribution of human resource planning. And in fact, human resource planning should involve, or rather, it is involved in the following areas: that they should collect, maintain, improve, and interpret the relevant information regarding human resources. Human resource planning also reports periodically human resource objective and requirements, existing employees, and allied features of human resources. They should develop procedures and techniques to determine the requirements of different types of human resources over a period of time from the standpoint of organizational goals. They should develop the measures of human resource utilization as components of forecast of human resource requirement along with independent validation. Then they should employ suitable techniques leading to effective allocation of work with a view to improving human resource utilization. Then they should conduct research to determine the factors hampering the contribution of the individuals, groups to the organization, with a view to modifying or removing these handicaps. Then they should also develop and employ methods of economic assessment of human resources to reflect its features as income generators and cost, and accordingly improve the quality of decisions affecting the human resources. Then they should evaluate the procurement, promotion, and retention of the effective human resources. They should analyze the dynamic process of recruitment, promotion, and the loss to the organization, and control these processes with the view to maximizing the individual and the group performances without involving high cost. So it is usually the top management, that formulates the visions and translate the vision into these objectives. And these objectives get translated into strategy and long range plans. And thus, these plans usually form the guidelines for the human resource department. To plan for the human resources requirements. So the HR department they coordinates with the above information and make human resource plans accordingly. There are various types but we are going to talk about the main types of human resource planning: hard versus soft HR planning, short term versus strategic HR planning, reskilling versus upskilling, and then human resource planning and business planning. Now, although it can be said that human resource planning can take different forms depending on the organization's goals, time horizon, and workforce needs, but then it's important to understand the various a few important types of HR planning. They so that the understanding the main types helps the HR leaders choose the right approach for each planning challenge. We talk about the hard versus soft HR planning. Hard HR planning focuses on workforce data and operational needs. It uses metrics like headcount, labor cost, and skill availability, whereas soft planning focuses on the people experience. It looks at engagement, well-being, development, and culture to help teams grow, adapt, and perform over time. A distinction can be made between hard and soft human resource planning. The former is based on quantitative analysis in order to ensure that the right number of the right sort of people are available when needed, whereas soft human resource planning is concerned with ensuring the availability of people with the right type of attitudes and motivation, who are committed to the organization and engage in their work and behave accordingly. So it is based on assessments of the requirements for these qualities and measurement of the extent to which they exist. In fact, by the use of staff surveys, analysis of the outcomes of performance in management, reviews, and opinions generated by the focus group. So, these assessments and analysis can result in plans for improving the work environment, providing opportunities to develop skills and careers, and adopting a total reward approach which focuses on non financial relational reward as well as the financial transactional rewards. So, they can also lead to the creation of a high commitment management strategy, which incorporates such approaches as creating functional flexibility, designing jobs to provide intrinsic motivation, emphasizing team working, de emphasizing hierarchies and status differential, increasing employment security, rewarding people on the basis of organization performance, and enacting organization specific values, and also creating a culture that binds the organization together and gives it focus. So, as described by Markinton and Wickinson, soft human resource planning is more explicitly focused on creating and shaping the culture of the organization so that there is a clear integration between corporate goals and employee values, beliefs, and behavior. But as they point out, the soft version becomes virtually synonymous with the whole subject of human resource management. Then the short term versus strategic HR planning. Now, short term HR planning supports immediate business needs such as filling up open roles, managing turnover, and covering short-term workforce gaps. It helps teams stay productive day to day, whereas strategic HR planning takes a longer view. It aligns workforce decision with future business goals through succession planning, capability building, and long-term talent planning. Then reskilling versus upskilling. Now, reskilling helps team members move into new roles when business needs change or existing roles evolve significantly. Whereas upskilling helps people deepen their current capabilities so that they can perform more effectively and take on greater responsibility. When organization plans around skills rather than job titles alone, they can identify gaps more clearly, support internal mobility, and also built a more adaptable workforce. Then human resource planning and business planning. Insofar as there are articulated strategic business plans, human resource planning interprets them in terms of people requirements. But it may influence the business strategy by drawing attention to ways in which people could be developed and deployed more effectively to further the achievement of business goals, as well as focusing on any problem that might have to be resolved in order to ensure that the people required will be available and will be capable of making the necessary contribution. As Quinn Mills in 1983 indicates, human resource planning is a decision making process that combines three important activities, identifying and acquiring the right number of people with the proper skills, motivating them to achieve high performance, and creating interactive links between business objectives and people planning activities. In situations where a clear business strategies does not exist, then human resource planning may have to rely more on making broad assumptions about the need for the people in the future based on some form of scenario planning. Alternatively, the planning process could focus on specific areas of activity within the organization where it is possible to forecast likely future people requirements in terms of numbers and skills, for example, a scientist in a product development division and so on. So these are the basic important types of human resource planning. Understanding the human resource, now we'll discuss about the human resource planning process, what exactly it is, and why human resource planning it is important. Often we express, that the most important asset in organization is our people. So without the right people, it is unlikely that even the most comprehensive and business plans or strategies will develop negative performances. So the vast majority of organizations comes when the right people with the right knowledge, skills, and behavior are deployed throughout an organization. So HR planning is done is it is to how to achieve that match of skills, knowledge, and behaviors. It is that planning process, or I would say that human resource planning is a planning process and analytical capability to measure and compare the current workforce thing supply or faces with the future workforce demand or space. So this planning process provides insight into the best policies and initiatives which has to be needed to improve the overall human resource system, and it plays a significant role in developing personal requirements, data elements which should be linked to strategic organizational planning, budgeting processes, and all recurring recruitment needs, training recruitments as well as planning activities. So HR planning is it is about, as I said, that matching skills, knowledge, and behavior. It is also about developing an understanding of everything possible about the internal as well as external environment and how these will affect our current and future workforce. It is also about understanding the makeup of our current workforce and the necessary skills, capabilities, and aptitudes that will be required to achieve business outcomes in our current and changing environment. And it is about ensuring that we link our human resources strategies with business outcomes and that a workforce plans reflects those initiatives or strategies and provides the managers with the framework for making informed decisions in line with the managers with the framework, sorry, for making informed decisions in the line with the mission, strategies, plan, and financial resources. And thus, the process, when you talk about the human resource planning process, it provides the opportunity for longer term thinking about future service pressures and needs, and what you need to do now to get workable strategies in place, not only for the employee development, but for the strategies, financial and human capital management. So, HR planning has a critical role, or rather, plays a very critical role in delivering improved services and is an important issue for an organization. So this is a visual as picture of a six-step systematic framework for the workforce management. The HRP will dive into how into the how part, that is HRP process follows a standard strategic life cycle from environmental scanning to execution and feedback, and thus we will follow through these five critical steps in detail. So, first is the, if you look into the various, I hope these stages are visible, but then I'll say it out. The first stage is environmental scanning, review strategy, analyze external factors, economy, technical, legal aspect. Then second, stage two is about the assessing current HR capacity, analyzing skill, reviewing job description, map talent. Third stage is forecasting future HR demands, estimating staff needs, trend analysis scenario. The fourth stage is, forecast future HR supply, assess internal mobility and external labor market. The fifth stage, conduct gap analysis, identifying shortages, surpluses, and skill gaps. Next is developing HR strategies, that is implementing action plans, recruitment, training, retention. Next is monitoring, review, evaluating. There is the track metrics, adjusting plans, continuous feedback. And this seven steps or six-step systematic framework, is a continuous cycle where there is a, and it's bounded in a loop. So an ideal human resource planning system, it has to be, or rather it should be holistic in its approach, linked with strategies, planning, and the budget process. It is built around services needs and skills required to deliver quality service. It is responsive to change variables, that is economic, technological, political, environmental mandate, supportive of continual learning and development concepts, and it is data driven, that allows for scenario building because of the changing assumptions of different desired outcomes. Now, the first is step here is the current supply analysis. Now, in this, it is a it is a kind of a self audit. We can't know where we are going if we don't know who we have. So, we use skills inventories and performance data to determine our current human capital stock, which is sufficient or not for the business current state. So, inventory audit has to be done, where skill inventory is made, whereby mapping existing competencies across the firm, what kind of skills we have, the number of employees which are available or which are currently working in the organizations. We need to understand their competencies, we need to trace their knowledge, their abilities, and which is again, so that skill inventory has to be made, that what kind of individual, what kind of skills the employees are possessing. Then we talk about the performance appraisal, that is identifying the high potential employees. Performance appraisal is again done maybe fortnightly, or maybe monthly, or 6 months annually, to assess the performance of an individual. And one through this performance appraisal, one can able to identify the high potential employees, or those employees who the efficiency or the performance had been considered as a benchmark, so that they are also being taken into consideration. Then turnover trends, that is analyzing any historical attrition rates and the existing and exit data. So any attrition rate, or we can understand that what is the turnover, how many employees are leaving the organization annually, what are the trends in that, the reasons for the attrition, what are the factors which are associated with the exit data, and why we're not able to retain the employees. So this current supply analysis has to be taken into consideration. The next step is the forecasting HR demand, is where we align with the CEO's vision. So if the business is scaling by 20%, then how many extra engineers or salespeople do we need? So we use statistical trend analysis and managerial judgments to arrive at these figures. So the estimating future, forecasting is about estimating future needs and expect. It's about thinking about what number of employees is required in future. So it is like predicting the quantity as well as the quality of people which is needed to meet future business plans. So like we're using trend analysis, using past hiring data to project the future uh, these expectations, then the managerial judgments, the various insights from the departments heads, the reviews, the kind of perceptions or uh, feedback, anything which has been taken from the department's head. They can give a detailed analysis of their current workforce of their team, of the department employees, so that one can do a analysis. Then scenario planning, this is preparing for best or worst case growth plan. Scenario planning is giving a situation when they need to work on it, that if such a conditions or such a situation arises, that what strategies, what initiatives can be taken. So this has to be done, that you need to forecast HR demands. Then the third step is forecasting which HR supply. While demand is what we need, supply is what we get. So internal supply looks at who can be promoted, that is succession planning, while external supplies looks at the actual job market availability. So internal supply, that is the estimating availability from the within via promotions, transfers, retirements. The supply balance has to be taken up, and then external supply evaluating the labor market, local talent pools, and educational in education institution inputs outputs. Then we need to analyze a gap analysis. A gap analysis again is the critical moment. If there's a shortage, we move to recruitment, or we train their employees. Now if there's a surplus, we must manage redundancies. Or the next step is gap analysis. Gap analysis is the critical moment, and if there's a shortage, we try to move the organization, try to move to recruit or train the employees so that their skills could be enhanced, or they are no longer redundant. So if there's a surplus, we must manage redundancies or utilize attrition. So the goal is to reach an equilibrium where talent levels are optimized. So we have to look into the what are the gap, what are the shortage, in which areas there's a shortage, what is the demand, and how much supply can be, what kind of what kind of employees, or what number of percentage of employees, the ratio of employees is required depending on the demand, based on the skills, the knowledge, job description, specification. And this is again done through the process of recruitment or training, and sometimes even overtime. And then surplus, if there's a surplus, if there is excessive of employees, if supply is more and then the demand, then of course then the solution would be hiring freezes, or at least we can stop hiring, then layoffs, and sometimes it also there would be retirement cases. The next step, execution and monitoring. Execution is where the plan hits the road. We developed, or rather, the HR managers develop specific recruitment and training budgets. They crucially evaluate or monitor the results, And if turnover spikes to execution, then again first step has to be taken. So in this execution and monitoring, one has to develop action plans, recruitment plans, that is sourcing external talent, training plan, bridging skill gaps internally, trying to find out what are the skill gaps in the employee, so that can be rectified, they can be put into training part. And then succession plan, preparing for leadership exits. uh, this is all about, in the next lecture I will discuss about the HR human resource process landscape. Yes, so the execution and monitoring, as I said, it is about the three important aspects are taken into consideration. That is developing an action plan, which includes recruitment plan, training plan, and succession plan. Then we try to execution and monitoring has been done. Then this is a modern human resource process landscape. There is an AI integration. In 2024, in fact, human resource planning is more of a data driven, and AI allows us to predict who might leave the company before even they know it. So the organization also have to plan for a hybrid world where supply might be located globally or just not locally. So AI integration is there, using predictive AI tools to forecast attrition and automate initial screenings. Then hybrid models has to be prepared, that planning for decentralized workforce and borderless talent sourcing, that they are just not hired locally, but there is a global platform, and where we are on towards moving towards the hybrid model. So this is a modern planning landscape which we are talking about. And DEI, that is ensuring the talent pipelines are diverse, equitable, and inclusive by design. So this is a framework of the modern human resource planning. The RIO of strategic human resource. Now, RIO, that is return on investment, which is management, which is a systematic process of planning, tracking, analyzing, and optimizing the financial returns of investments, such as marketing campaigns, projects, or capital expenditure relative to the cost. And it helps businesses and freelancers decide whether to continue, expand, or terminate activities based on profitability. So what is return on investment? In fact, it is expressed as a percentage, and it is a financial ratio that measures the profit generated by an investment relative to its cost. So the key factors influencing ROI include the initial investment amount, ongoing maintenance cost, and the cash flow which is generated by the investment. And to calculate the ROI, the return of investment is divided by the cost of the investment, and the result is expressed in percentage or ratio. So the return of investment is RIO equals to current value of investment minus cost of investment. RIO, cost of investment, is equal to cost of investment, current value of investment minus cost of investment. So the current value of investment is the value of an investment at a given moment for stocks, or other similar investment, and it is the current market value plus any fees or other expenses incurred at the time of purchase. So for example, for a project, it includes factors like the discounted cash flow over the investment's lifetime and any maintenance cost occurred. So the RIO on strategic HRP, the impact on organization, because organizations with mature human resource planning processes see 30% higher profitability and significantly lower time to higher metrics. So there is an alignment with the business strategy, there's a competitive advantage. It enhanced employee morale and retention, and it leads to legal and compliance stability. This is all. To conclude the benefits, HRP, human resource planning, isn't a cost; it's an investment. And companies that plan their talent, like they plan their capital, see higher growth and better morale, because employees see a clear future path within the organization. So that is all about my today's lecture. Thank you, everyone.